Chapter 9 shows us what the light of the world actually does. You go from the proclamation of the light of the world to what the light of the world actually does in real time with real people. And when Jesus encountered the man who was born blind, this is an important note. One scholar said this, he didn't see a theological problem to solve, but a person to restore. Really good reminder for today. He didn't see a theological debate and an issue. He saw a person. The irony of the whole story is that the blind man gradually becomes, he's able to see clearly and worship Jesus, and it was the religious leaders becoming increasingly blind. One responds to the light with faith, the other rejected it and remained in the darkness. I don't know if you caught it, but by healing this blind man, he lived out the prophecy from Isaiah 42. You will be a light to guide the nations. You will open the eyes of the blind. To sum this up, from the Exodus to the temple to the blind man standing before Jesus, every scene has been revealing the same truth, that God's light doesn't just illuminate, it restores, it renews, it convicts, it gives life. So this isn't merely a story about who Jesus was. It's for us a question about who Jesus is for us right now. And that's our question. The question that Chris posed to us last week, if you were here, if you weren't, he said, the theme for this series, the I am statements, is who is Jesus for us today? In other words, what does it matter for us today? So as I was preparing this over the last couple of weeks, I started thinking, reflecting, 3 reflections on this John chapter 9 rose to the top for me. And I want to share this with you this morning. 1, following Jesus gives us direction and perspective, even when he doesn't give us all the details. I don't know about y'all, most of us, I'd like to know, sometimes I'd like to have a map for my next 5 to 10, 20 years, maybe 30 years, maybe 40 years. I don't know. But that's not usually how God works. If you look at the story of the Exodus, Israel wasn't given a map in the wilderness. They were given a pillar of fire and a God of holy love to know. What they received was the assurance that God's desire for them was a good future and that he would be with them. That was the promise. The pillar of fire didn't reveal the entire journey. It simply showed them the next step. And that's important. In the same way, Jesus doesn't always show us everything ahead. Have y'all experienced that? He gives us enough light for the next act of obedience. Ultimately, discipleship is less about having all the answers and more about faithful perseverance. So lately, I've been trying to, daily life in Oxford, daily life anywhere brings its own challenges and temptations. We know that. Lately, and nobody's immune to that. Lately, I've been trying to see my challenges and temptations as opportunities for trust and obedience. What if you approached it like that? What if you approached the temptations and challenges as this is an opportunity for me, by God's grace, to trust and obey? Christian author Eugene Peterson. Anybody heard Eugene Peterson? I recommend the reading. He put it this way in his book, that following Jesus is a long obedience in the same direction. That trust in Christ day by day, as he leads us forward. You think about the blind man, he did that. Wouldn't you like to be in his head that when Jesus, as he heard Jesus spit on the ground, and he felt this mud on his face, and he goes, go wash this off. Later he found out this was spittle mud. He was like, that's weird. But what did he do? He obeyed. It was a small act of obedience and trust.